We'll start here. This is what we ended on yesterday, talking about how a muscle cell contracts. And so it's really important to me that you know which muscle fiber is which, both visually or from a description. So remember that actin is this one, and myosin is that one. Myosin is thick, and actin is thin. And so visually, that's how you could tell the difference between them. The other thing that I'd want you to recognize about the difference between myosin and actin is which one of them is actually moving. So in this picture that's close up, you don't see the larger picture. But in your textbook or here, there's a picture like this one that shows you that myosin is in the middle. It's the one with the little heads on it, and it doesn't move. It drags the actin across it. So just keep in mind that you need to be able to tell the difference between the two of them. The other thing you need to be aware of is what is the role that calcium plays. And so calcium plays a role right here with the myosin head. If calcium is not available, the myosin head is prevented from attaching to actin. The other thing you need to be very aware of is the role of ATP. ATP is necessary not for the actual movement, but so that the myosin head can let go of the actin filament so that there can be another stroke and the myosin head can grab onto the actin again. Those are the major points about muscle contraction that you need to be aware of. Please make sure that you remember that muscles get shorter when they contract. We mentioned that at the beginning when we talked about muscles contracting while the other pair or the other muscle in the pair relaxes. Does anyone want to ask any questions about how a muscle contracts? So we just need to add one more thing. And this is, where does energy come from for muscle contractions? So you'll notice that I have a diagram on the right and then some words on the left. They're both saying the same thing. If I'd like to know where the energy comes from, there are a few sources, a few places, or a few reactions that can provide energy for muscle contractions. The first one is ATP. And so you'll notice in my diagram, ATP is what leads to muscle contraction. You need ATP to make your muscles contract because it causes the myosin head to let go of actin. Now, all of the other sources are ways that I can get more ATP. So on the chart, you see that everything leads to ATP. So when I'm saying energy can come from several places, the first one being ATP would be the available ATP, what has already been made and is just waiting to be used up. There will not be a lot of this because your body is constantly using up energy for other things. So available ATP is used up very quickly. So we have three other things that can all contribute to producing more ATP. One of the things is called creatine phosphate. Here it is up here. Creatine phosphate is a molecule that has a phosphate group on it. So creatine phosphate could donate the phosphate group to ADP. Since we already know that's how you make ATP, creatine phosphate breaks apart and you'll see that it becomes creatine plus phosphate. And if we just add, we would add that to ADP. That's how we get our molecule of ATP. Now, creatine phosphate is a naturally produced substance. You have it in your body. But you may notice that in protein shakes or protein powders, the word creatine is often in there. This would be why. It's a way that you can get an energy source for your muscles. Now the third way that your muscles can obtain energy for contraction is aerobic respiration. So over here, this is the aerobic respiration part. In aerobic respiration, your myoglobin, which we mentioned last class, it's the molecule that holds on to oxygen. Myoglobin in your muscles has oxygen. And so your muscles will do aerobic respiration as long as they possibly can because it produces more energy. So glucose or some other fuel, by fuel we mean a source of energy, but glucose or something similar, will undergo aerobic respiration. We'll get that phosphate group that we can donate to ATP, and we'll get CO2 and water being produced. So if we're looking here, these are in order. What happens sort of like first, second, third, etc. Now creatine phosphate and aerobic respiration don't have to happen one before the other. They can be happening at the same time. But what's really key is that anaerobic respiration is the one that happens last. Your body will not resort to anaerobic cell respiration until it has to. So, once you have used up all of the stored oxygen in your myoglobin, in your muscle tissue, then your body will do anaerobic respiration. Now, anaerobic respiration, you might recall from the last unit, is when basically only glycolysis happens. That's the first of the 3 steps of cell respiration. In aerobic respiration, we have glycolysis, and then we have the link, which happens sort of in between. And then we have Krebs, and then we have the electron transport chain. We have all of the steps that happen during cell respiration. In anaerobic respiration, we really only have glycolysis. Our product is lactic acid. That lactic acid production ends up giving me some free phosphate, which I can use to make ATP. So we already know from previous classes what the difference between aerobic and anaerobic is. In terms of your muscles, this is the thing that will be used last, once all of your oxygen stores are depleted.